Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 222 at scavengerlife.com. We are back.
Yeah, after taking a week off, it's probably one of the first times we've actually taken a week off since we've started this podcast.
Yeah.
But we really needed it.
Yeah, I really needed it.
We appreciate everyone just going on the blog and talking to each other. I know I fully enjoyed reading the comments while I was running around working. It was good to I see my people.
I was glad that people were talking to each other, and we were reading everything while we were working. Like, there would be, like, little blips of downtime for, like, you know, a little bit, and we'd be, like, reading the blog comments, you know. And there were a lot.
Because, to be clear, this past week we were actually in San Francisco doing a video job, which is what we do in our other life.
Yeah.
So that's what we were doing all week. And, we're back home. And to give people, just to be real clear, though, this is what it's like to be a full-time eBay seller. You know, we can make our own schedule. So it was 2 months ago. It was like the middle of August.
Yeah.
Where we were like, let's, you know, and we had all these opportunities that we took.
Right.
We're like, let's go to New York for 2 weeks and stay at a free apartment. So that's what we did.
That was like August 9th. Yeah. I think it was like that early.
Over 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And then we were home for a week. We went to Europe for a month.
Yeah.
Where we lived in Amsterdam for 3 weeks, and then we had a job for 1 week in Barcelona.
Right.
Then we came back for a week, and then we went to San Francisco for another job for a week, and now we're home. And now we're home for 6 to 7 months, which is great, you know?
Oh my God, I was dreaming of that moment, trust me.
So I don't know. I mean, you know, it's not bad, it's not good. It's just these were choices we made, and the cool thing is we made money on eBay the whole time. Yeah. I know people that do FBA, that's a normal thing for them. They can just mail stuff in and stuff just sells.
Yeah.
It's not quite so simple when you're doing eBay, but it does work. And so
it did work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has worked.
It has been working. So because we have that large inventory, we've been selling stuff for the past 2 months, and we really have not done much listing.
Yeah, very little.
No photographing, just
on autopilot.
Communicating with people, and we would ship during those weeks when we would be home.
Yeah.
So it's good. But man, you know, I love traveling. I love all that stuff. But God, I really do miss being at home and just working on eBay.
I mean, it sounds so, like we've talked about it before, where we feel so spoiled sometimes because we're like, oh, we're just jaunting off here, and then a week later we're going here. And like, it sounds all exotic, but it's like, it's for work. It's like pure work. You're not like, oh, I'm just hanging out in San Fran. You're like, I am like head down working. Right. You know, that is like,
But we had a lot of fun in other places. So
that's true.
It's kind of a good balance.
It's a great, it's a fine balance.
Let's talk about the good.
Yes.
The good is, like, for instance, we got to live in New York for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's an amazing amount of time to be able to hang out.
We got to live in Amsterdam for 3 weeks.
Again.
That was
incredible.
Awesome. We made money on these 2 video jobs, which we did. I mean, you know, we don't need to take these jobs, but we just do. The money's good, you know.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny because some people are like, oh, that's like your real income. No, eBay is our real income.
Yeah.
We do video jobs because we're gluttons for punishment, number one. But number two, we enjoy still being technical in that world.
And it's nice to get those paychecks, and then we just throw it at debt, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And we get to travel.
And the other good thing was, like we said, we've been making money on eBay the whole time.
Yep.
And the other good thing is, this is the first year, it is a good experiment. We were making money on our rental while we were away. We arranged to have a friend take care of our rental. So it was really nice. It was great. The bad, you know, ultimately we're home buddies, you know.
Yes.
We like to be at home. So
yes, we are home buddies.
I think maybe we took on a little bit too much.
Although it's weird to say we're homebodies and we love to travel. Yeah. Like it's both. It's like I don't want to travel 12 months out of the year.
Yeah. I mean, right. I think that I like to travel
sometimes,
not as much as we did. I think, you know.
Yeah. But we love being at home.
Right.
We love,
And the other bad thing is, working for other people is always going to be working for other people.
Yes.
So work is work, no matter what. And,
yes. There is an amount of stress, and Jay saw me, and hopefully I've taken care of how I deal with stress. But sometimes on those technical jobs, when there is an issue that has to be solved and we're the only people that know and have to solve it.
Well, there was a listener that commented on the blog a week or two ago where he was like, he was a lawyer, he retired, and he says he still, from time to time, takes on jobs because he likes the intellectual challenge. But then he says he always remembers once he gets a job, there's a lot of drudgery.
Yeah.
Someone's paying you because it's a pain in the ass. There's something that someone doesn't want to do, and you're the one that has to do it. And, if you can do it, it's just,
Yeah.
That's what they're paying you for. But
it's to solve those problems.
Yeah, it's a pain. And, and then the other, I guess bad thing is when we're away for so long, we still have so many projects we want to work on locally, and I feel like we get pulled out of it.
Yeah,
and
you
then
get pulled out.
It takes about a week or two to kind of get back into things. So we're glad to be home,
Yeah, I love being home. Yeah. I mean, the moment we were going to the airport in San Francisco, I was like, I'm so happy right now. Right. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to get home. Of course, we got home at 3 a.m, but I was happy when we got home.
Yeah, so it's good. So good to be back. And so let's talk about our numbers real quick. Okay, we sold in our main store, in our flagship store, 34 items. We made about $1,900.
I just want to comment on that. That is a crazy good week.
Yeah.
I will say that when we're on a tech job, I am like barely paying attention to sales. I'm like, head down working. So that's an incredible number. Yeah.
I mean, we had a good week. It definitely feels like the holiday season is starting where...
Cranking up.
It feels like when all the work we did in the slow summertime...
Yeah.
Of listing, all that stuff is starting to sell.
Yes.
But then in our second store, our experimental store, we only sold 3 things for about $100.
Yeah, so it was really slow.
It was very slow.
Yeah.
But it's good.
It's weird.
So we basically made almost $300 a day.
A day, which is the best.
I mean, that's like...
That's the best. Yeah. That's our goal, is $300 a day.
So what were some of the things we sold, the cool things?
Okay, so we sold this keyboard. It was a Yamaha keyboard drum machine thing that I bought for $5 at a yard sale, and it worked, and it was clean, and it was cool. It sold for $65. Now, sometimes those keyboards, like a Casio, certain Casios, I sold a Casio for over $100. I think it was $120, that I also bought at that yard sale for $5. But this one wasn't as fancy. Like, people didn't want it as much. So it sold for $65 to someone in Australia. And for some reason, it's not in the global shipping program. So I'm shipping it priority to them. They paid $70 to ship it. Great. So they paid more for the shipping than they did for the item.
And so we've been finding that lately, maybe the past couple of months, where everything we have is in the global shipping program.
Yeah, everything's...
That we know of. Except we've been selling things and it gets kicked out. So we don't know how to check in our store.
This is the thing that I find interesting. That when eBay decides to pull a category out, like rugs, rugs might never have been in. I don't know because I never sell rugs internationally. I did this week. So, yeah, it's a weird question. You're like... I would think a little keyboard would be in global shipping.
But is there a way to tell in your items, say, show me everything that got kicked out of the global shipping that's not eligible?
That I know of.
Like, that's what they should do, is so then you can choose, like, well, I don't want to ship these internationally.
Next time I call eBay, which will probably be tomorrow, since I call all the time... I will ask them, is there a way to see everything that's qualified, just so I know?
Or, like, if you have a rule that says, if someone wants to buy this outside of America, they do it through global shipping. If it's not qualified, then they can't buy it. Is that possible?
Yeah, and you know how you do that? You have to turn off your secondary shipping for all of your listings. So, like, this woman who bought this keyboard in Australia would not have the choice to buy it at all.
Right.
So, it's either one or the other.
Right.
You give secondary or you don't. So, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird system.
We sold an 8mm. It's movie projector.
Yep.
You know, it's one of those old ones. You know, we used to buy these all the time, and then we started getting problems with them because a bulb would break or something wouldn't work that you couldn't test. But this one, it was pristine. It was pristine. Had all the paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, it works. I mean, you know, there's not any problem. So I took a chance. Sold for $125.
And what I'm going to do, and Jay suggested this, I'm going to, with gloves on, pull the bulb out and wrap it itself. You know, double box it, you know, and then put it in the box with the projector so that it's protected in shipping, because you don't want the filament to break. So that's what I'm going to do. Because a lot of times people will get it and be like, the bulb's burned out. And you're like, darn it. So that's going to be a packing job.
And we also sold a pair of riding boots.
Yeah, these are like actual equestrian riding boots, like the high-end kind.
Because we kind of live in, I guess, like horse country.
Yeah, people have horses here.
I feel like we find them kind of often.
So these sold for $175. And now we've had these returned a few times because of the calf size, because it's not a flexible leather. It's like a stiff leather. Like, I can't put these shoes on because I have huge calves. So you have to know the size. Even with the calf measurements on the listing, they still don't fit people. Yeah. So cross my fingers that this person is like, great, no problem, $175.
And again, we just found these in a yard sale.
I think we got. I actually think we got them at Goodwill. There were two pair. There were. No. This was. We talked about it on a podcast of whatever a year ago. We went to Goodwill because we were going to a movie, and there were 3 pairs of the exact same size leather. Yeah, and I was like, "What? Those are like worth like almost $200."
$6 each.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was one of those sets that sold. It takes a long time to sell those because they're a very particular, boot for people.
We also sold another wool rug.
Yes.
It was one of the ones we got at that auction for $20.
Yes, we bought it for $20. It's a small rug. It's a 3x4. Gorgeous rug. I had it up for $500, which is crazy. Yeah. But I put it up for $500 because I want an offer that this person gave me, which was $225.
Right.
So I got an offer of $225, and I was like hesitating, of course, because I'm like, this thing's awesome. Whatever, we took the offer, $225.
We definitely have been into the taking offers mode, just trying to sell stuff. So
let's just sell stuff, yeah.
And it's cool. I saw it's Nancy, and maybe some others have been selling its rugs, and it's always exciting to see that. Like, I'm glad that people are finding out that you can sell these kind of things, because wool rugs are not hard to find, but they're expensive.
They're expensive. And if you find someone who thinks it's a piece of trash because it's all worn out, whatever, good for you. I hope you buy it for $5 and sell it for $300.
And we do not. I think it was Nancy that said that the person, one of them she had sold it to, was complaining that it was dirty and was getting cleaned and wanted like $200 its refund.
Yeah,
we never clean any of these rugs. I mean, we'll shake it out.
I'll shake it out,
or it's vacuum it, but we always say distressed.
Yes.
Used.
We never say. I think part of the issue was she was like, excellent, vintage condition.
Ooh, never say
something,
that.
Or she said very good condition, something like that. Never. I want to be like, this thing is trashed.
Right.
That's why they're buying it, because it's got that antique look. That's the whole point.
I mean, I think in all of our listings, in anything, we learned early on, we never say something's nice or saying it's good.
We
or
stopped doing
condition.
That. In the first year I did it, and I learned my lesson.
Because that's really like a qualitative...
Yeah.
My idea
it's an
of what's
opinion.
good.
Yeah.
But we always say what's wrong with it.
Right.
So we never say good, but we'll always say has hole, has this, has that, because that's a fact.
It's a fact. Exactly. You never want to say excellent vintage condition. Never say that, because someone's going to be like, no, it's not.
Right. So then it's just two people's opinions.
Yeah, exactly. So another cool thing that we sold was a piece of artwork, or it was a pair of paint by numbers, right? It's so funny to me because I always think paint by numbers are at the same time cool as they are super cheesy. But these ones were cool. They were framed well. They were framed with glass. The frames were like vintage 1950s, like painted gold. Very cool. And so that pair sold for $100, which is a nice sale.
And I remember we found it in a thrift store.
Yeah, just
like
junk
in the corner where they like hide.
Because people just think
artwork.
it's trash.
And wasn't it like it's maple syrup in the
no, that's a different one. Those did sell. That one did sell a while ago. But these were like water scenes. Like one's an ocean and one's a lake. Like they're kind of matching. To me, that's super cheesy. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to see that. But
I think it looks good.
That's the cool thing is someone wants that look, you know?
And that just reminds me that, again, we love selling art. And we don't really, it's necessarily go after the art that has like famous names on it. Because we honestly don't find a lot of that stuff anyway.
We just want to look.
We sell a lot of art that has no name or no name that anyone cares about. It's just that it looks cool. And again, it reminds people, if you go to IKEA, and it's like right at the end, they have all their artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have like crappy prints.
Mass produced.
That they sell for $40 and $75.
I mean,
so, I mean, if you can find an original piece of art.
And what's so funny to me is when you go into IKEA and you see those prints, you know, the one that I'm talking about is the Audrey Hepburn print.
Right.
It's a freaking Audrey Hepburn print, and like every apartment, every Airbnb I've ever looked at, like they had the print. I'm like, people.
Right. So,
you know?
So if you have an original piece of artwork that someone did in the 60s.
No one else has that.
Even if it's just not signed, it's just interesting.
Yeah,
and people will pay $100 easy.
Yeah,
for it,
exactly. So look through the artwork. That's the thing. When you go to thrift stores, a lot of times they'll have just the artwork stacked up and nobody looks at it because it's mostly junk.
Yeah.
Like really ugly hotel print. Blah.
Yeah.
But if you look through it, you'll find little gems for $1.
And and people will send us emails with photos like, what do you think of this or that? And I always tell people, like, trust your own gut.
Yeah. If you think it looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you would hang it on your wall, someone else would.
Or if you know someone who has that style. Because, like I was saying, those paint by numbers, I'm like, I wouldn't put that
I think
up.
of that painting we got at that auction in Brooklyn. That crazy auction.
Oh, the zombie girl?
Zombie girl. And there was, like, even a hole in the painting. But it was so
amazing,
cool and weird looking. And
I would have hung that in my house.
I know.
I would have.
I knew someone would buy it, and someone did.
For over $100, we sold that. I want to say I have to fact check this. I want to say we sold that for $200.
And, it always takes time because you have to find the right person,
But they will find you.
Again, we're all about finding the things that everyone else doesn't look at.
Exactly.
And one last thing I just wanted to mention. We sold a pair of like a vintage LL Bean boots.
Yeah, the Maine hunting boots. They're like duck boots.
They were in pretty kind of okay shape. They were tough.
Rough. Yeah.
But we sold them. We got an offer for half price, and it's like I said, we're just taking offers.
Yeah.
And then Ryan always will look up to see it's what the person bought, and it was someone from J. Crew, a designer.
I actually looked up his name because he had a very specific name, and his address was on Madison Ave in New York. So I was like, all right, this is somebody. And I was like bummed that he gave us a half price offer, and we took it. And he's a designer at J. Crew.
He knew how to get it done.
I'm like, oh man,
good for him.
Yeah. So anyway,
customer issues, real quick. So after we came home from Spain and we mailed out 150 packages, we always expect there to be issues.
Yeah.
Because if you think we're always like 2 to 3% is return rate, so if you do 150, we had about 4 people email us, either wanting a return or
an issue,
unhappy with something. Yeah. And the cool thing is we dealt with all of them. So
I mean, it's just the basic stuff. Someone didn't like something. Someone says it was
we sold
damaged.
a coffee pot, just like a bun.
Oh yeah, I should talk about this. We sold a bun replacement coffee carafe.
It was used.
It was used, right?
And we said it was used.
We said it was used. We showed the very clear photos. It was clean. We cleaned it.
He bought it for $12.
He bought it for $12. Okay, and I think I might have talked about this. I had to double box this thing. So it was in this huge box because it's thin glass. It's delicate, right? So I box this thing. It goes to California. It gets there. He leaves us negative feedback. This thing's dirty. Negative feedback. And I'm like...
And you know what? It's the first thing he's ever bought on eBay. So I don't think he understood that he was buying something that's used.
Even though the photos clearly show.
But the great thing is we called eBay and they're like, that's...
Let me explain. Go. This is what you do. Someone does that, you're like, I'm going to get this removed. You need to write to the person and try, in quotes, to make them happy. Hey, I'll take a return. I'll give you a refund. Let's just make you happy. It's $12, you know? Okay.
We always do that.
We can make it happen.
And then once you do that, eBay will see, okay.
You tried.
Gave them an offer. I mean, you tried to get a return. They didn't take the return.
They didn't say anything.
But so...
Yeah. So you have to do that first. You cannot just call eBay and get it removed. You have to prove to them that you tried to resolve the issue. And I got it removed. So I was super happy about that. I was like, I'm glad because I'm trying to get all the negative feedback, all the neutral feedback off.
And we have been.
We have been, so.
So what we did this past week, I mean, we kind of talked about it. We've been traveling, blah, blah, blah. Something that's interesting to me that Orion has been doing the past couple of months, maybe 3 months.
I don't know what's up with me.
And you've been starting to complain to corporations.
So this is what...
It's great.
This is why. This is why. Because we run 3 businesses, okay? An eBay business where customer service is...
Right.
At the top. Right. You have to, or else your business will fail. The rental business, customer service is you have to do that. So when we go places and the service is horrible, I'm like, unacceptable.
Right.
Like at this point in my life, unacceptable.
Right. As business owners, it's noticed when something's wrong. Poor service, something dirty. And so, it's something that you've been kind of taking on, which has been cool. Like, we'll go somewhere, there's a problem, and you'll actually like take time to write a letter or an email.
Yeah.
And it goes to the headquarters of the corporation, and then
people actually write back.
And then they often comp us. I mean,
I'm not trying to get a comp.
I know.
I'll say that outright. Because there are people who practically do this for a living because they want to get comped.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I'm doing it because I cannot accept poor service.
It's a rich tradition of complaining and trying to get coupons or whatever.
Right.
I understand that that's not what we're doing, but it is interesting how it does work. Like, for instance, when we were in Barcelona, we went and we ate at kind of a fancy hotel, restaurant, treating ourselves. And we spent like $100.
It was $120 for dinner.
And the food was horrible.
I could not believe. And you know what's funny? We ate in Colombia, in Bogota, at the same hotel at a restaurant. Granted, these are on 2 different continents.
It was a Hyatt, right?
No, it was the Hilton.
The Hilton, yeah.
The Hilton in Bogota has one of the best restaurants I've ever eaten at.
Right, it's great.
That's a pretty high compliment.
And so then we go to Barcelona, and it's just like really generic. It was undercooked.
It wasn't even like, oh, this is bad. This is actually terrible
and
food.
It's it's one of those meals where you eat it, and after you're done and you pay, you just feel cheated. I feel like a fool. You know what I felt? Like the value.
This horrible. And you will learn this if you watch any of those like cheesy reality TV shows. If your customers feel embarrassed that they went to your establishment and paid money, you've done the worst job.
Yeah.
So I wrote to Hilton, and I wasn't like, I'm pissed. I was just like, you guys got to get someone down to this restaurant because it's actually horrible and it's so expensive. And they wrote back to me and they comped me for the meal.
Yep.
I honestly did not think that would happen.
And we don't have to get into the other ones, but that's happened for a couple other corporations.
It was 2 other things where I thought the service was really bad. And they were good to me.
So, but you know what? I think it's good to complain to these, like, especially these, like, nameless, these
massive
like,
corporations,
these, like, faceless corporations where everything's just, you know.
I think for me, and what my point is I just have to tell someone there, like, this was my experience. This is not what I expected, and not what anybody expects when they come to your place, you know?
So I think it's definitely something cool to do as a scavenger, to, like, telling people what the problem is. You know?
That's my
like,
goal.
Like, not being satisfied with poor service. I think that's
especially for all of you people who are listening that go out of your way every single day to make your customers happy.
Yep.
And I feel the Hilton should do that too.
Yep. Okay.
So something that you did last week, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, just kind of a scavenger story. People who remember us redoing our house. I did this then too. It's North Carolina, is about 5 hours away from us.
Yeah.
And I guess you have a lot of big old warehouses.
Tobacco warehouses.
That they're slowly or quickly being all torn down. And so I go on Craigslist and I have an alert come to me if anyone's trying to sell heartwood pine.
Yeah,
that
like
old lumber. And there's a lot of it. You know, a lot of people know how much it's worth, and it's like,
they want thousands for it.
You know, $2 to $5, you know, a board foot. Because, you know, it's that beautiful kind of wood that
you
you're
can't
never
get it
gonna see
anymore.
again.
Yeah.
Anyway, but every so often, you'll find someone, and I found this guy. He was like, I have all these, you know, beams, hardwood pine beams. I'm just going to sell them $150. There's like 14 of them, plus these other 4 smaller ones. I emailed him. I said, I'll be there tomorrow. So I actually drove down there, and I got a whole truck. You know, they filled up the whole back of my truck, and I stayed at a friend's house.
Yeah, luckily we do have a friend that lives in the same town.
I came back, and we don't really have a project for it, but as a scavenger, I'm like, this is like gold, you know?
Well, you know, I think in the past, too, we have, you mostly, I just kind of, like, watch you do it. You will gather wood because we're like, we know we're going to use it for something eventually. And honestly, if there isn't a project, you could sell that for a lot of money to someone in DC.
Right.
You know, so that's the scavenger way of, like, you know, let's get this, we'll hibernate on it for a little while and then see what happens.
So if people aren't doing that, that's always a really smart thing to do on Craigslist. You can put out keywords, and just, if ever someone puts up that keyword, so if you're into any kind of object, you know.
Now, technically, how you do that, it's not through Craigslist, it's through a different website, right?
Yeah, so actually, I can't, you know, Craigslist doesn't have that, its function.
Right.
It uses a site called ifttt.com.
ifttt.com.
And I can even link to the thing that it lets you do that. So all you have to do is put in the Craigslist a search and put your email in, and then it just starts to email.
So basically, this website is set up to like automate things, alerts to you,
it's
or whatever
workflows.
Yeah, it's super nerdy, but it's great for things like putting out alerts on. Basically, it's if someone lists heart pine wood within this radius.
Well, I mean, that's how we basically found great, cheap furniture, high quality but inexpensive furniture for our rental. Was that once we knew we needed to start buying that stuff, I just started doing these searches where anytime someone in DC would put up a fancy couch, I would be the first to see it, and then I could contact them right away, and then drive and go buy it. And so we're getting, you know, $2,000 couches for $200.
Exactly.
You know? Okay, so, you know, our coming week is basically packing.
Yes.
We had 35 things to ship after 1 week,
which is not too bad for packing.
And then really, we got to get into the flow now. If you are not a listing like crazy, now is the time.
You need to be listing because people are starting to buy for the holidays. I hate to be one of those people that care about holidays. We are selling coats, we are selling boots, we are selling stuff for people's houses. I'm sure some of them are gifts.
I will say that it is, I am positive that we are making less money now than we were 2 years ago when we were just focusing on coats and shoes.
Yes.
That, since we got into the kind of like weird,
Yeah.
vintage, antique
Yeah.
little doodads, we aren't making as much money. We are not making money.
Yeah.
But I will say that I do remember that coats really sell well. But
You
at the
gotta
same
remember
time,
for next year.
if we didn't switch it up to like find things that excited us,
We'd be so bored.
We probably wouldn't be doing any eBay at all.
Yeah, we'd just be like, I don't want to sell another coat.
I like making its money, but I also, this has to still be exciting for us.
Yeah, it has to be fun.
So,
I agree.
Oh, and one last thing, I did an interview with this guy named John.
Yes.
Or his better yet name is Resale Rabbit.
Resale Rabbit.
So he's a cool guy. He's just like young guy in his like mid-20s, and some of you may know him. He's a moderator on it's Reddit, a forum.
What's it called? Flipping,
forum.
Right?
And his whole shtick is he's traveling around. He's
doing FBA, right?
Right. So he does have a home base, but he'll go on these like road trips.
Yeah.
That can be for in months at a time, and he just goes to different towns.
And does he do? He doesn't do retail arbitrage though. He does like unique items.
He just goes to thrift stores and buys stuff and sends it into FBA from his hotel room or wherever he's staying.
That's really amazing.
And if his numbers are true, he's making a crap load of money.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's still incredible to me. So I really am being. We haven't yet reached that point yet. But talking to Tom, the English picker, then this guy, and there are other people who are doing FBA, but they're shopping the way we would shop.
Yeah.
Where they're buying stuff for cheap at thrift stores and sending it in.
It's really incredible.
That's good.
Don't know how they do it, but
yeah, they just learned and did it.
That's amazing.
So good for them.
So we are going to answer questions. Now, you can always call us and leave a message. The phone number is 540-407-8486, and it's just a voicemail line. We don't pick up. You have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Yep, and obviously, if you have a question that you want answered quickly, just go to our blog at scavengerlife.com and leave a question there.
A comment, yeah.
Us or someone else will answer you,
Hi, guys. This is Chris from flippingadollar.com. I'm calling with a comment question. I recently had put my store on 5-day handling time because my wife was in labor. When we got back home, I put everything back to 1 day. So I monitored my invoice a little better than I normally do. I noticed that a bunch of my items didn't have the little star next to it that shows that I get the 20% discount on the final value fee for top-rated seller status. So I called eBay about it. It looked like July and August, there were several times that I didn't get it, 12 items total. And they had some wishy-washy statements about why that was the case. They thought it might be because I listed the item prior to me getting top-rated seller status, or that I had listed the item with a different handling time originally. So they ended up refunding me on the 12 items. It ended up being like $8 because it's only 20% of the final value fee. So it was 2 hours, probably not super well spent being on hold with eBay. But they did put notes on my account, so I just wanted to let anyone else know that might be an issue. I don't know if it's a glitch with eBay or if it's just me. Maybe I'm a weirdo. But anyway, that's all I want to say. So bye.
Okay. Number one, it's very good that you looked at your invoice. I think it's very important for people to look at their invoices because sometimes there'll be weird charges on there, $1 or $2. But then you're like, oh, is that happening every month? You got to look at that stuff.
Like I can remember we had those extra charges on a handful of items where sometimes they want you to put those big pictures on it.
Yeah, it's like the Gallery Plus. It's $1 extra.
And so if you don't uncheck it,
right,
it checks it for you.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that there were like 8 or 9 of them that we'd been paying for like several months.
Yeah, it was really stupid. So as far as the 20% discount not coming out on the ones that should have been, That's some serious, like, deep looking at stuff. I don't even think I've looked at those and, like, corroborated which ones were sold when. Like, for me, I can't do that. It's very good that you did that, and I encourage anyone to look through their invoices and make sure everything looks legit. And if it's not, you should call eBay. So that is a good example of, basically, it's like looking at your electric bill or your phone bill and being like, are there extra charges here? You should always do that. I should be better at it. I should look at it every single month. Sometimes I don't do it, and then 3 months go by, and then I have to look at the last 3 months, but I do look at them.
Hey there. This is Dan from New Jersey, though formerly of Boston. I've followed the podcast for about a year, and we've emailed sporadically. Normally I sell through Amazon Merchant Fulfilled, so most of my inventory is the sort of thing that would have a barcode, but you've encouraged me to branch out into clothing and shoes. This weekend was actually my first bag sale at a thrift store. So an issue that has been coming up is how to gender clothing. I get a lot of coats and sweaters, and sometimes the gender isn't immediately clear. I don't think that listing unisex is a great strategy, so I was just wondering how you went about that, because I don't remember you talking about that on the podcast. Well, anyway, thank you.
Okay, I totally get what you're saying. A lot of times we'll have, like, when we're photographing, we'll have, like, a pile of men's jackets and a pile of women's jackets. And sometimes Jay will put a jacket on, and I'm like, that fits weird, you know?
Or you can tell because it
buttons on the wrong side.
Or like the shoulders are puffy, or, you know,
yeah.
I mean, if you put the clothes on, you can kind of feel like, oh, this is probably a lady's.
Although I will say there are some men's jackets that were too small for you to model,
right.
And I'll model them, and I'll just say in the listing, can be for a man or a woman.
Right.
And I'll have guys buy a jean jacket that's like a size, 34.
Yep.
Because Jay can't even put that on.
But honestly, I'd say 95% of clothes are pretty obvious what gender it is, but you just do the best you can, and then people can buy what
decide
they want.
if they like that look or not.
I mean, but can't you? I think you can actually say clothes are
unisex.
Unisex if you want.
You know, I've had a lot of sweaters, like kind of like just those. They're called rag wool sweaters, like the vintage LL Bean, where I'm like, anybody could wear this. I just happen to be modeling.
Plus,
it.
I think that girls are better at jumping over and buying men's
clothes. Yeah,
like,
I agree.
You know,
like a men's jacket.
Girls will buy like a boyfriend sweater.
Yeah, we call it like a boyfriend sweater if it's kind of oversized, and like a guy could wear that, but we're marketing as a girl's.
So,
but I also have like both genders buy whatever they like, so you just market it however you want, and then whoever's gonna buy it. Although I will say, don't do that with shoes. Figure out the size for shoes and make sure you're not like, this is a men's 10. Oh, actually it's a women's 10. I've had that happen with boots, so you got to be careful about that.
Hi, my name is Diana, and my eBay ID, well, actually, it's my husband and I, our eBay ID is E_StuffMart. And we've been doing eBay on and off for a while, but we're always looking to learn new things, and as we all know, eBay changes. But our philosophy is life changes if it's growing. So my question today would be, how much social media plays a part in your business? How much time do you spend each day on doing social media? I just would be interested to know, and if it is profitable in your business or not, or worth the time spent. Anyways, I love your show and listen to it. Trying to get down through all the podcasts, and it's very informative. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, we do no social media. Sometimes I do Pinterest if I'm not lazy. And I feel like I really want something to get out there, like rugs, high-end stuff I'll do on Pinterest. That's it. I don't do Twitter, I don't do Instagram, I don't do Facebook. I don't have time, and personally, I don't care. So that's just me. A lot of other people are like, Instagram is the best. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
I mean, we talked to that young couple who was doing...
doing Etsy.
I say young.
Young.
This is old man
Those
now.
children. Yes.
in their 20s. They talked about it using Instagram
Right.
and other social media
Right.
because, they sell on Etsy.
Yeah.
And it's all about a brand, it seems like,
Yeah.
they're getting people coming back again and again.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe for that's important. We find for our eBay store, we sell totally fine. We're selling quite often, and we don't do any of that stuff because I just think of how you buy on eBay or Amazon.
Right.
Like, I'm not following a Twitter link. I'm just like, I need this thing. Let me do a search.
There it is.
I'm buying it.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
how most of us are buying.
Basically, I sell the way I buy.
Right.
And it's been like that since 2008. I'm trying to sell because people would always talk about what category should this be in. Okay, categories are interesting and important, but not as important as keywords.
Right.
Because when I go on eBay, I'm all about keywords. So that's how I would sell, is through keywords. I'd be like, whatever about the category.
No, I have heard from some people that sell very specific kind of items, like, some kind of boat item,
Right.
like a vintage antique boat light or something, and that's what they focus on, and they hang out in
those places,
forums, and
Right.
online places where those people are.
Right.
It reminding these people that they have these things.
Right.
So I guess if you're in very specific categories, I'm sure there are places that you can go to let people know that you have those.
But
things
we
for
are
sale.
not those people. Us.
We're just a general store, random.
Yeah.
Just.
So for us, it doesn't make sense to hang out in the people who collect erasers. Did we talk about people who collect erasers?
Right. And pencils.
And pencils. Those are two different collectors.
I just bought some
so
pencils that I'm going to sell for a lot of money.
Do not confuse the pencil collectors with the eraser collectors. They're two different people.
Hi, guys. It's Vince with Cash from Closets in Colorado. Wanted to start by saying how much I appreciate you guys, just like everyone, but it's just amazing how much of your time and your heart goes into just sharing all your wisdom and kind of opening up this community for everyone to profit and get a better lifestyle. I've been selling on eBay since 1999, and around the Christmas time frame, for years I was a superstar because I would do Furbies and Zuzu hamsters and mostly make enough cash to pay for our own Christmas. And with 3 girls growing up, we had plenty of expenses there, and it was so nice to get them covered every year by my eBay sales. But then I had nothing left for the rest of the year. I didn't know what other items to sell. I was always telling my wife, got to find a great other item to sell during the year. Didn't have an idea about what to do that until I started listening to you guys about having a general category that I'm finding. And vintage is right up my alley. I love it just like you guys do. It's so fun and surprising and unexpected at times. So just briefly, what I've learned from you guys that's been so awesome, I'll obviously call it Trash Shelf University. I think I want to get a hoodie with that on the front of it, is, list it and forget it. Buy it now, make an offer. Auction Zip has been awesome for me. Their seller interviews are amazing, and the videos of what you guys sold are so helpful as well. Give me such great ideas about what to be watching for. Goals, I'm very much in the same part of our lives as Jenna and Mark, and you guys recently did a catch up with them about retirement, and just 50 plus for us, and love to set our own schedule the way they do, travel around America, visiting family when the rest of the world is working, make it a lifestyle that's almost completely an expense situation for our eBay business. So just so thankful for you guys, and wanted to let you know that. Look forward to all the podcasts and seeing how successful you guys are being, and everybody else as well. So thank you so much. That's all I wanted to say. Talk to you soon.
We always like to hear that kind of call. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's really amazing.
It's always cool to hear when people kind of get it.
And do it.
And they have this excitement for scavenging, and then they realize they can make a bunch of money from it, and it's good.
That makes me happy,
and
trust
solving
me.
your own problems.
That's right.
Okay, so that's it for this week's podcast.
Post podcast. What's it called?
Podcast. You can always go to scavengerlife.com, where we will link to anything we talked about, or you can join the conversation there. You can leave us a question or comment.
You just have to call the voicemail phone number, which is 540-407-8486.
So we post an episode every Sunday night or Monday morning. That did not happen last week, and this week we will be late as well. But we're back in action, so that will be true for the coming weeks.
Yes.
Wednesday we try and post what sold a video.
So I've been videotaping all my stuff that I've been packing. So
you can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, so you'll get pinged whenever we post something. And we really thank you for being with us. And I just have something else to say.
Okay.
That this podcast is ending in 3,
2,
and then in 2, and then in 1.
Is that it? Is that the end?
That's it.
Okay, great.